Willkommen zum
Dear traders, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Daily Trading Ideas webinar series. It's Tuesday, the 9th of January. It's our second webinar in this year. And of course, this Tuesday, we also want to analyze the markets with you and hopefully find nice trading ideas and, if possible, also answer your questions regarding Forex and CFD trading live in the webinar. Please, before we start, be aware of our risk disclaimer. Forex and CFDs are leveraged products. You always have to be aware of the risks involved in trading those products. So please read the risk disclaimer fully. You can also find it on your local web page, if you prefer it in your local language, on the web page of your country. And of course, on Tuesday, it's Paul Wallace's time to analyze the markets with you. Dear Paulus, I don't want to hold back any longer. The clients are probably waiting for you, so you get the monitor right now, and then you can start analyzing the markets.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear my voice. Hope you can see the screen. Let me start by wishing you all a very happy new year. I can also say that I hope that 2018 is a great trading year for you coming forward. And I know I can speak for myself and for Jens and the Admiral team. Where we're looking forward to being able to help you with some insight and some ideas throughout these sessions. So why don't we have a little look at what's been going on, what's maybe setting up for the rest of the year for us. As always, I'll just start with just a little bit of analysis, just to give you a bit of insight. What we're looking at here is a chart of the dollar index. So some people may look at this, some people may not take note of it, but the reality is, when it comes to FX trading, the dollar is the daddy. All right, it's that big gorilla in the room, and realistically, you need to have an understanding of what's going on with the dollar. Is it like a gorilla? Is it asleep? Is it awake? Is it angry? Because that can have a huge implication if you're trading any of those kind of major FX pairs. So we always want to keep a touch upon it. So for those of you who are completely new to trading, I know that we have a broad spectrum of people in the room. So for those of you who are completely new to trading, this is dollar index chart. It's our monthly, which means that every candle that represents a month of data. I have green bullish candles, red for bearish candles, and you'll see that I have a very simple sort of 20 is the 20 period moving average is the blue, red is the 50 period moving average, the green is the 200. You can also see that I will draw in certain levels, horizontal levels of support and resistance, and it's a very simple chart that I work on. So here we go. This is the dollar index. This is the monthly chart. Let's maybe dig into a little bit here, and then we can go through it a few other things and answer a few questions. So it might actually give me a little bit more depth if I look at this on the weekly chart. So here we go. This is the weekly chart of the dollar index, and pretty much you can see that for the most of 2017. Just one-way traffic, wasn't it? Really, we had a fantastic topping formation here on the kind of the monthly chart, big engulfing candle here last January, and you can actually see that invariably it just it was one-way traffic, which is what Donald Trump wanted. He said he wanted a weak dollar. So we had a flip side of a weak dollar and a strong euro, which we'll come on to in a moment. But just hold that thought, there for your traders. But what we did see is we saw this kind of run down to these levels between about 90.75 and 91.75, and we had a little bit of a bounce off there. Not a real surprise after such a strong trend, okay. But then actually what we saw was a little bit of a sort of a drift back down here towards that level, and what I'm seeing at the moment is at this moment, this kind of around about 91.50 to 92, it is holding as a kind of a level of support. So I have to trade what I see. I have to look at what the market's telling me. So the way I look at it, this is I'm thinking there's two scenarios here for me. Is this the dollar forming like a bit of a double bottom on the weekly chart? In which case I'd expect to see it drift its way, start to move its way back up. That would have an implication on the other currencies, in particular the euro. So I'd just be keeping an eye on that. Well, that's one scenario. The other scenario is that, effectively this is just a little bit of we just get a little bit of a pullback in what is an extended downtrend. And then if I go back up to that monthly chart, well, then, then I need to see it start breaking down these levels in between kind of below 90, between, below 90, 50, 90, 900, because then actually, then we're into a big space where there's no real support back down to about 85. So, I have a very quick, clear idea of what I expect or what I'm looking to see from the dollar, because that has a knock-on effect on the other currencies. So just as I said, just bear that in mind, but also has a knock-on effect on some of the other elements we're going to look at. Before I switch to the euro, I'm just going to quickly update on something we looked at our the last session, which was oil. One of our members who was watching us attended, asked me some questions about oil, and when we spoke about it in mid-December when I was last on, we talked about, sort of oil coiling up in this sort of triangle pattern, right? A little bit of compression happening in terms of, just price getting squeezed. And then what do you know, before the end of December, we had a breakout and it, price blew north. And so if you were long in the oil for that, well, congratulations. Just what I'd be suggesting is that, we've now got into this period here. Okay, this is rather a kind of a scrappy period here. You can see the price action back over here in 2015, and what I'd be doing is I'd be looking at how price reacts to that. Okay, where it's at the kind of it's above 60 in terms of psychological level, but we can see the previous price action there. Lots of wicks to both sides, lots of order blocks there. So if you are long that oil, well, then I'll just be keeping an eye on that to see whether it has enough energy to break through that previous block. Okay, so they're just a quick update, something we talked about. But let's have a little quick update. So we've just looked at the dollar index, and we saw from there the dollar index has shown a little bit of strength, a little bit of a base there. And well, what do you expect? When we see the euro dollar has, in the way that the dollar index drifted down, euro dollar drifted up towards the end of the last year, got above around about that 120 level we talked about previous, psychological level. But what we've seen is a little bit of a drop off here. There, if I just go down to it, so a little bit of a drop off here. Okay, there was a couple of opportunities last week there to sort of short euro dollar, but what we've seen is, I talked last year about how euro and sometimes the sterling were the strongest currencies, and dollar and yen were the weakest. Euro is still strong, but if you'll notice, if you do a good analysis of the overall markets, that actually what we've seen is that as the euro has weakened, all right, and in particular it's weakened against the commodity currencies, the comdols, which we'll have a quick look at in a moment. But what we've seen is after a really strong year for the euro, what we've seen is a little bit of as you can see for yourself, we've seen a little bit of a drift away. Okay, we've seen a little bit of that euro weakness creep in. And now, of course, that euro weakness, if you remember what we talked about, is there's a correlation there. When we're seeing euro weakness, well, we'd expect to see a bit of DAX strength, and hey presto, that's what we're about to look at, and that'll fall through. So in terms of euro dollar at the moment, I don't have a trade on here at the moment. At the moment, I just see that there was a nice topping opportunity and it's rolled over, and now I'll be waiting to see maybe if it'll roll back down to that daily 200 on the euro dollar. On euro sterling, before I look at the DAX, okay, when we do our analysis of markets, it can be very quick, it can be very simple. We don't need to sit down and write a PhD dissertation on our analysis. Very often you can just see what's going on in that market. There's euro sterling on the daily, right? We've talked about for months how it's just really knocked about within that particular range there, between about 90 and about 87.50. Gave us a little bit of a false breakout there, sort of start of December time, but at this moment I see that is just still in that range. Okay, sat in the middle of the range, it's sat on its daily 200, and realistically for me, for the euro sterling, I'm not interested until price gets to the ranges edges, or either whether it be at the top or whether it be at the bottom. Okay, so at the moment I have no real interest in euro sterling. If it's just gonna mess about in the middle of its range, that's fine. Other range bound traders will have joy from that, but for me, no interest in that whatsoever. So I just wanted to show that you don't need to spend hours doing analysis. You can actually look at very, very quickly and pick up on what's going on. All right, there's we don't need to a good trade will leap off the charts at you, and that's what we're particularly looking at. So let's have a look at a trade idea for us on the DAX. Here we go. Let's just go out a little bit. Let's just zoom there a moment. See, just update this so we can see a little bit easier. So, we talked about, here we go, on the DAX. We talked about, here's the weekly chart, all right? We talked about how, we'd had a, a really big, right, okay, key reversal, engulfing candle on the weekly chart, and price would roll off the top, and then invariably it went sideways for a couple of months, basically. Just, a little bit of a, sort of flatter to deceive, okay, with touching edges, but didn't really do a huge amount for a good few weeks. But what we talked about a couple of weeks back was that if price did break out, my first interest would be up towards this particular zone here. And invariably, that's what happened. We had a little bit of a break, a bit of a strong break towards, and then what do you know? We drifted away. Okay, we drifted down, back down beneath that sort of the low of that level. And what we've seen is, what this daily chart is telling me is that kind of 12,900, 13,000 level. There's real support there. Okay, hopefully you can see that for yourself. It's leaping off, off the page here. There's real support there. So, we've seen that, we've just looked at how dollar's strengthened since the start of the year. Not massively, but there's been strength in there. Euro has weakened, okay, since the start of the year, and not surprisingly, we've had a euro weakening. We've also had DAX strengthening since the start of the year, and that's what we're seeing there, okay. So hopefully you can getting a little bit of an idea of how some of these correlations come together, and we can actually see that DAX has been strengthened greatly. So, what I've been looking at as a trader there, yep, that DAX has strengthened there. Okay, it's been a great run last week, but what I'm looking at here is, well, is this a little bit of a double top here? Do I need to see if we can test that double top there, to have a little look at what is an opportunity to see, whether we're going to have a little bit of a dip down, so I can just have a little bit of a a trade on there, okay, because I like that double top, and then really just look at maybe coming back down to this range, okay, here. So what's that? So I'll be looking right about, there we go. So I'll be looking really, we're looking at around about, double topping here. If it breaks this low, I'll be selling that about 13,330. Stop loss about 50 points above, about 13,380, and then with a target of about 13,200. So it gives me about 2.6 R trade. All right, so that's what I'd be looking at the moment, and that would be my trade idea for us for today. What I'd be looking at is, just if I zoom out a little bit, is can price come back down and retest this zone? And if it does retest that zone, well, then then I'm looking at is what will the price action be like there, and that might be something we'll touch on next week. If it comes down, comes there, then this might be sort of a place where it builds up energy before its next leg up, and we'll be able to watch that at the moment. But this is what I'm looking at, and that's a little bit of a test there. Okay, and there's a nice, hopefully you can see it's a double top, but I'm not selling that until it actually breaks the lows there. And then, as I said, I'm not looking for it to make a complete massive drop. I'm actually just looking to see, well, will we test this? Does this market, will it drift down? Okay, will we have a little bit of profit taking, and then there might be a zone here that offers an opportunity to actually get long if the euro weakness continues. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of idea. All right, as I said just before I answer any questions, what you can see here maybe on the bottom of my charts there is euro Aussie, euro Canadian dollar, euro New Zealand dollar. Remember what I was talking about? Euro is weakened, and the commodity dollars, the COM-dollars, the commodity currencies have strengthened. And that's what we've seen. Look at that on the daily chart. Okay, that's been euro weakening. All right, Aussie dollar strengthening. Same here. Euro weakening, Canadian strengthening. Euro weakening, Kiwi dollar strengthening. And that's something to have a little bit of a look at and sort of keep an eye on. Okay, there might be opportunities for that to continue. And that has a knock-on effect into some of the strength we've seen in Aussie dollar. Okay, so. As I said, I could go on for hours, but unfortunately we don't have that. But hopefully that gives you just a little bit of insight into how a few of these things are interconnected, and where there's might be an opportunity or two for us, and how we play out a scenario. So, if there's any questions, I'll happily take them for the last couple of minutes.
Well, we don't have any questions right now, Paul. So yeah, if you think you've gone through all the markets, I think we can also end the webinar because we are good in time. Or if you want to, you can also check another market.
Well, no, I think we've gone through a lot for the kind of. I appreciate that I've sort of flown through a little bit, and just it's the start of the year, so I wanted to give people a little bit of quick insight into all the things that are starting to set up. But I wish everybody the best of success with their own trading, and let's see how that DAX trade plays out next Tuesday.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much for your analysis. I will take over the monitor once more, or the display. And yeah, dear traders, you're of course welcome to test Admiral Markets. If you are new to us, you can test the demo account and all our trading conditions. We think we have very good trading conditions for you, especially in the CFD markets and also for the Forex markets. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can contact your local customer support team. If you are a UK client, you can see the phone number now on your screen. If you are not a UK client, please contact the local team, and you can find all the contact information on your local webpage. All right, thank you very much for your interest. We will talk to each other or see each other on Wednesday tomorrow at the same time. It will also be me, George Frieske from the German office, not Jens, that you are hearing on the other days, but I will take over for him for a couple of days. So I hope you will stay with us too, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks, Paul, and thanks to every trader.